So good morning. Thank you for attending this webinar, Finding and Accessing Data via the UK Data Service. My name's Emily Durrant, and I'm going to be presenting today. I am a data access and use assistant working as part of the access team within the UK Data Archive, and part of my day-to-day role is managing applications for our data, answering help desk queries, and also issuing credentials so that researchers can use our service. As I said a little while ago, I have met virtually some of you before earlier on in the week when I presented the introduction to the UK Data Service webinar. It's the one that this follows on from, and I've had to step in last minute, but we're all good. We'll see how we go. So sorry, it's me again. So to begin with, we have got some interactive questions just to begin with, in which we will use Mentimeter. So this can be accessed via a desktop or a mobile device. So if you could please go to that website there, www.menti.com, you will be prompted for a code, and the code is just there. And basically, I'll just be first asking you some questions about what you hope to get from this session and your experience of finding and accessing data via the UK Data Service so far. Some of you may have answered really similar questions on Monday, so I apologise. But we will answer some different questions a little bit later on as well. Brilliant. So the first question, why have you chosen to attend today's webinar? Perfect. We will get into grips with this. I want to learn more about how to access data in the UKDS, to see which kind of data I can access. I've now got accreditation, need to know what I can do. I want to access data about the UK to use in my PhD research and after. New joiner to the UK Data Service team, hello. I want to know better how to access UK data for my project, perfect. Hoping to learn more about working with data available through the UK Data Service and understanding the research that is available to reuse for further analysis, how to access data. Brilliant, you've come to the right place, I hope. No, you have. Brilliant, we can certainly answer most, if not all of these, either within the webinar itself, the contents, or afterwards at the questions, to find out as much as I can about secondary data. Brilliant. Impact Manager, hi. To see how the data may be useful to my studies. I want to learn more about accessing. Brilliant, all looking good. I hope that I can answer most of these today, I'm sure we will. Next one, what are you hoping to take away from this session, please? Practical advice, brilliant. We will be running through lots and lots of examples of how best to search our data catalogue, how to access the data once you've found what you want. Brilliant tips and tricks, brilliant. New skills, starting points, knowledge about how to find data that is relative to my area of interest. Tips for efficient searching, brilliant, we'll be covering that in this one certainly. Being able to navigate the site and adding data to my project, we will be running through that as well. A good understanding of how to access and work with data, frameworks for your practice, get a more deep understanding in a specific area through data. Brilliant, again, you've come to the right place. I hope that you will be taking all of this away. Learning to navigate the website, which seems a bit overwhelming before I found the training. Yes, we do have a new website as well. So I know that it's slightly different to the other one as well. So things have moved about. But yes, we will be walking through key points of the website in this through videos, and you will have a chance to go off and take a look yourself as well. If you've got any questions once you've actually done it, we can come to those at the end. So have you tried to find and access data with the UK Data Service prior to coming to this webinar? So just a yes or a no, please. So we've got more no's than yeses at the moment. So hopefully by the end of this, that will change to more of a yes, more yeses. If you have, so those of you that have, did you find the data that you were looking for? Sorry, that's meant to say no. I realise it's just an O. That is a no. No, perfect. I can see people popping things in the chat as well. That's fine. Okay, hopefully again by the end of this, we will have more yeses than nos. If you didn't find what you wanted, please could you just explain a little bit why you didn't, whether it was because you couldn't find it, or you weren't sure what you were looking for, or you weren't quite sure how to find it in the data catalogue. Yeah, if you could just let us know if you had any problems or anything, that would be great. Didn't know how to find it? Perfect, absolutely fine. Unable to find it, unsure what data I was able to reuse. Okay, super. Don't think I've defined what I'm looking for yet. Not sure how to narrow my search down. Couldn't figure out how to find it and whether there was a why yet. A way to add things. Too confusing to follow what they're about. Okay, we can talk about that a little bit later as well if this webinar doesn't cover quite. Brilliant. Was just browsing after Monday's session. Seemed okay to find the main themes I needed. Wasn't sure if I was using the search optimally. Also a lot of data sets were for quants research, so I couldn't figure out how to focus. Okay, brilliant. So I hope I will be talking through a lot of our different search tools. So we have the main data catalogue, but we do also have more specific tools, and you can narrow your search down in different ways. So haven't tried yet, absolutely fine. I'll be walking through all of those. So I hope that by the end of this, you will feel more confident and have a little bit of a better understanding of how you can find the data that you're looking for. Or I hope that I can give you a good starting point so that you can find some data that you think might be useful. So for those of you that did find the data that you were looking for, did you manage to access the data? So whether that was adding it to a project, or did you get as far as downloading it from the website? And I'll be talking through a data catalogue page as well. So where best to look if you're trying to find out what's within the data and things like that. So I hope that by the end of this, it won't be too much of an information overload. That might all make a little bit more sense. Secure access problem, yeah. Okay, thank you. I think we've got one more. So for those of you that did have problems, are the problems you had when finding and accessing data the reason for attending today? Yes or no, please. I imagine it's going to be a lot of yeses, which is great and absolutely fine. So I hope that we can resolve some of those problems for you, whether, as I say, whether through the content of the webinar or at the questions at the end. And as I say, you will have the chance to go off and explore the website at certain points after I've explained certain things. So hopefully, so as I say, today's webinar will be about how to find and access data held by the UK Data Service. So we'll start off with kind of introduction section, and we'll run through who we are and what we do, the sources of data and who can access them, the types of data, data by theme, and finding data. We'll then move on how to access data. So we'll talk through access conditions, how to register. We'll run through catalogue entries and how they kind of look. And then we'll talk about the differences between end user license, special license and secure access data and how to access those. We'll then look at useful resources and online tools. So that's when we kind of cover the top tips for searching the data catalogue and other search tools that we have. And as I say, at the end, we will have time for some questions. So do feel free to pop those in the Q&A section, and I will come to those at the end because it may well be that I answer your question a little bit later on. So yes, please do pop those in there and we'll answer as many as we can at the end. And as I say, there's interactive elements throughout, and there are a couple of opportunities to go onto our website and pop what I've talked through into practice. So that at the end, if you do still have any problems or questions, we can run through those after you've tried it yourself. So what is the UK Data Service? So the UK Data Service holds the UK's largest collection of research data and is home to the UK's only nationally funded research infrastructure for creating and providing access to social science data. It was first established in its original form at the University of Essex in 1967. And our data management guidance, best practice, policies and protocols are used by national data archives, international research organisations and researchers alike. And this guidance has helped remove barriers to accessing data. UK Data Service is funded by the Economic, Social and Research Council, the ESRC, to meet the data needs of researchers, students, teachers from all sectors all over the world, including academia, central and local government, charities, foundations, independent research centres, think tanks, and the commercial sector as well. Our collection includes major UK government-sponsored surveys, cross-national surveys, longitudinal studies, census data, international aggregate data, business data and qualitative data. And really our primary aim is to provide users with a seamless and flexible access to these data sources and to facilitate high quality social, economic research and education. And we do provide guidance and training for the development skills in data use as well. We collaborate across the UK with other organisations and data experts such as JISC, the Cathy Marsh Institute for Social Research at the University of Manchester, the School of Geography at the University of Leeds, Geography and the Environment at the University of Southampton, the University of Edinburgh, and the Department of Information Studies at University College London. So the UK Data Archive works with all of those organisations to deliver the UK Data Service. So the data that we hold comes from a variety of sources, and we are allowed to disseminate them under the licence from the original data creator. And I will talk a little bit more about those licences later. It's important to note that we don't collect the data ourselves. They are deposited with us from organisations such as the ONS, for example, and we curate, preserve and catalogue them and make them available to researchers through the UK Data Service. So as I say, our sources of data are from national statistical authorities such as the Office for National Statistics, UK government departments like the Home Office, Department for Business Innovation and Skills and the Department for Work and Pensions, intergovernmental organisations such as the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank, research institutes, so the Institute for Social and Economic researchers, NatCen and the Centre for Longitudinal Studies. And then we also have data deposited by individual researchers as well. So those that may have done research for their PhD. We have something called Reshare, which we will touch upon later, and that is where ESRC grant holders deposit their data with us, which we then make available through our data catalogue. So who can use the data? So we have just got another quick poll on Mentimeter. So all of those, you could, sorry, I probably should have said you could select as many answers as you like. All of those types of users can access our data. So who is this service for and who can access our data catalogue? Sorry, I've done that bit already. So students, academic staff, government analysts, charities and foundations, business consultants, independent research centres, think tanks, personal genealogical users. So all of those user types can register with us. So I'll pop that back on. Brilliant. So all of those user types can register with us. The way that in which you do register with us is different, but we will run through that. We will run through that later. I've just noticed here. There. So researchers, students, teachers from any discipline, any organisation or country may register with the UK Data Service and obtain data. Some datasets do have restrictions on their access due to the data redistribution license agreements. Again, we'll talk about that later. But there is the opportunity for pretty much everybody to register with us and access our data catalogue. We are really keen for people to explore our data, learn new things and improve their data skills. And we currently have around 23,000 users globally who are responsible for about 60,000 data downloads every year. So we do, it's a lot. And these are the types of data that we have available. So the UK Data Service holds just over 7,300 data sets of a number of types. So survey microdata, international macrodata, qualitative and mixed methods data, and census data. And these are the four key ones, I guess you could say. And we do have new data sets added all the time. So as you can imagine, a lot of the data that's coming into us at the moment is COVID related, now that we're kind of 18 months in. So that is all trickling through, but we do add new data sets all of the time. And there is a newsletter that you can sign up to. It's published every Friday, just comes into your email inbox, and on there you can find get a notification for all of the new data sets that are deposited with us. So before we get stuck into data types and how to access them, we're going to touch on data categorization. So there are various ways in which we categorize data. So one of these is by type, so data on people. So this might be in the form of a survey. Data on places, so such as census data for small areas or an international time series data for countries, and also qualitative and mixed methods data as well. Another way to categorise them is by purpose. So this may be research or teaching. And finally, we have by details. So this is if they include certain variables or certain questions. So this is an example of quantitative data, and this example has been taken from the Public Attitudes to Animal Research Survey from 2016. And this data set can be found using our data search engines and is available under an open data license due to it being less disclosive. So that's why I'm able to share it with you today. Each of our data sets have a study number, so you can see just in the citation, this one is 8059. So when we get to it, you can either pop a specific study number into our data catalogue, or you can add a title as well if you know this, if you know of a data set that you might think is useful. So with this example, you'll notice the banded ages and incomes and the government office regions are the lowest geographical unit. So this data isn't considered high risk. And then we have an example of qualitative data. So this example shows a transcript from an interview with Frank Woolley from the family life and work experience before 1918, and it's also known as the Edwardians. So this particular data set is also considered open access, and it is available via our Qualia Bank, which we will touch on later. Again, you can see the study number there is 2000, so it's SM, study number 2000. Most of our data sets have 4-digit study numbers. So if we move on to finding data, if you have a particular research topic that you're interested in, our theme pages will be very useful to you. Now, these theme pages can be found or accessed via 2 ways. You can either access it via the Find Data button, which is just along the toolbar at the top. This is our homepage, or you can scroll a little bit further down our homepage and you can see the Browse Data by Theme or Type link. So you can click either one of those and you should see something like this. So we have 14 themes in total. So you can see examples here: aging, environment and energy, health, poverty, and And we also have a COVID-19 one as well, which is just there. And that's the one we're going to focus on for the moment. So the individual theme pages not only list the key data sets, so that arrow just indicates that you can scroll down. So you've got the key data sets on the 14 different topics, but you also have the chance to view all of the data related to this topic within the data catalogue. So you can either click view all data, which will take you to all of the data related to COVID-19 in our data catalogue, or you can select the individual data sets, which takes you to an individual data catalogue page. So this tool, or this way of searching for data, is particularly helpful for those of you who know what you want to research, but perhaps you're not quite sure where to start. So if we were to click view all data, you'd be directed to our data catalogue. And this is what that looks like. So once you've got kind of all of the data set related to COVID-19, on the left-hand side there, you have the option to further filter your results. So you can do so by date, by topic, by data type. So you can, census or whatever you are looking for. The access type. So again, we'll talk through that later, but that's end user license, special license, or secure, and country as well. So that's a really quick and easy way to filter your result. So what you can search by theme, but you can also search by data type and general browsing. So you can again find these pages either by the Find Data tab at the top or the Browse Data by Theme or Type on the home page. So those just there. And either way, you will be brought to something that looks like this. So these are the types of data that some of them we touched upon earlier. So you've got UK surveys, cross-national surveys, longitudinal studies, international macro data, census data, business microdata, qualitative and mixed methods, and administrative data. And we do also have as well specially created teaching data sets. And we do have really useful guides and videos for each of our data set types as well. And again, by clicking on any of these, you'll get a similar page where you can view all in the data catalogue, or it will list some specific key ones that you can then click on to get to the data catalogue page, in the case data catalogue entry. On that same page, a little bit further down, is browse by general. So you can browse by search terms, by geography, by online analysis tools, or you can search for open data. Again, you'll have the option to view all or view key data sets. If you were to click on search terms, you'd get something like HACCP, which we will talk about later. By geography, so you'll get the option to search by country. Online analysis on tools will take you to some of the tools that we'll talk a little bit more about later. And open data will direct you to our data catalogue, so you can search for any open data. To do this, you don't have to be registered with us. So one of the tasks later on is to locate a data set. And if you're not registered with us, searching for open data set will be the option for you, because you'll be able to access that really readily. So for our first activity, I'm just going to invite you to access our website. So it's ukdataservice.ac.uk to see if you can find a data set related to COVID-19. So hopefully, if you go to find data, data by theme, you should find our COVID data sets. We've got about 3 minutes to do that, please. And then we'll pop back to Mentimeter just to see how you got on. Sorry, yes, I've just seen the question. Yes, it's okay to just locate it at this point. That's absolutely fine. There will be another task later where we'll ask you to try and access it and download it once I've shown you how to do that. Brilliant. Some of you are really quick. Yeah, I've got a couple more minutes for that task. I'm just getting the but I will have shown you how to access data as well. So we'll see how you get on managing to download a data set as well. Yes, that's fine. It will do at the moment. It's everything I try says you need to register or log in. At the moment, we just like you to find one in the data catalogue. So you shouldn't need to register or log in to do that. But later on, when we do the accessing task, we'll just, yes, not a no then. Okay, perfect. That's great. Thank you. I was really worried then. I thought, oh no. Thank you. A little bit later on when we do the accessing task, you'll just be able to find the open data. And so that's what you'll be aiming for. That's absolutely fine. Brilliant. So all good. So if you did find one, which most of you did, please could you just let us know which one you found, please? It could be the title or the rough title if you've exited out. Just intrigued to know which ones you found. Yeah, perfect. Welsh welfare at a social distance. Yeah, perfect. The Understanding Society one is a really, really popular one. Really popular. Understanding Society. Perfect. Then we're coming through student mental health. Yeah. Brilliant. And as I say, we're getting more and more of these in all the time. Now that we're a good way into the pandemic, a lot of the data that's being deposited with us is COVID related. So watch that space because I'm sure there'll be many, many more on there as we continue to go through. Brilliant. So I will pop back to the presentation. So we have now covered the first part. So now we're finding data in the different ways that you can find it, whether by theme, by data type, etc. So we're now going to move on to how to access the data. Okay, so the data deposited with us have different access levels and therefore have different requirements for access. So our data are broken down into 4 overall access levels. We've got reshare data, open data, safeguarded data, and controlled data. So looking at reshare data first. So reshare data, so reshare is an online repository whereby depositors, so usually those that are ESRC funded, have self-deposited data. And the access conditions are described in the data catalogue record, as they kind of tend to be a little bit different, non-standard, and they sometimes don't conform to our regular access procedure. And that's purely because you know, an individual's gone out, done some research, and they've decided to deposit their data with us in a certain way. So one example for reshare data might be that you're asked to contact the data owner directly for permission to access this data, but it really does depend on the data set. Others will follow our standard procedure and you'll be able to download them right away. It does just depend on the preference of that researcher and how they've deposited that data with us. I will show you a little bit later on the area within the data catalogue page where you can find out what is required to access that data. And of course, if you are a little bit unsure, towards the end as well, I will be pointing you in the direction of how to contact us so you can ask us about a specific reshare data study. And the other thing to note about those is they do tend to have a slightly longer study number, and that's how you differentiate whether they're reshare data or not. They tend to, I think it's about six digits, I think, as opposed to 4, a little bit longer. Yes. We then have our open data. So we spoke a little bit about that later on. So these types of data are considered to have minimal to no disclosure risks and can be accessed without creating a user account with us. They do sometimes require a click-through acknowledgement, but you don't need to be registered with us to be able to access those. So again, when we do the task a little bit later on, that's the sort of thing you'll be looking for. We then have our safeguarded data. So we have 2 different access levels as part of the safeguarded classification. The first of these is end user license. So these data contain no direct identifiers, but there is a small disclosure risk through the linking of the data. Anybody registered with us can access end user license data, because as part of that registration process, you have to accept our end user license, which are essentially just our terms and conditions. So they outline things like they can't be shared with anyone that's not registered with us. If you use the data, please cite it according to the citation in our data catalogue. There's a whole list. But if you're registered with us, you would have accepted that end user license as part of your registration. And that means that they can be, end user license data can be downloaded almost immediately. You may find that certain data sets have other requirements, but again, this is dependent on the data set. The other type of data that falls under safeguarded is special license data. Now, this is anonymized, but they contain more detailed information than end user license data, and they do require compliance with an additional set of conditions. So what happens with special license data is find it in the data catalogue, and you'll be prompted to download a form. Now, all of this I will run through later. And you're asked to complete that form, send it back to us. We then review it, and we then liaise with the data owners on your behalf for permission to release the data. And as I say, that is because it contains more detailed information. I will run through that form so you can see a little bit what that looks like and what is required to be able to download these data. But you do also have to store the data in a certain way as well. It can't be stored at home, for example. And then finally, we have controlled data. So like safeguarded data, that has a couple of levels in it as well. So secure access data can be accessed from within our virtual secure lab. And our secure lab is a virtual online environment. So what that means is you never download secure access data, you access it within our secure lab. So this requires a further application to be completed, and there is a technical setup that you have to be able to meet as well. Access to secure access data is limited to accredited researchers who demonstrate trustworthiness and have completed a safe researcher training course. So again, I'll talk you through how you become an accredited researcher and all of the forms that are required to request access to secure access data a little bit later on. And the main restriction really with controlled data is that you must be located in the UK when you're accessing it. And that is because these data sets may or have an increased risk of disclosure. They contain much more disclosive information than all of our other data sets. We also have safe room data, and this is data so sensitive that it can only be accessed from our online safe room in the University of Essex. Unfortunately, that is currently closed because probably see we're all still working from home. So at the moment, unfortunately, the safe room is unavailable. And we are slowly introducing safe pods as well. If you are from a UK organisation, you may have a safe pod on your campus. And it is a pod where you can access the secure lab via the safe pod. I think they tend to be set up in libraries and things like that. Off the top of my head, I know there's definitely one in Bristol, and I want to say there's definitely one at St Andrews as well. Definitely Bristol. But that is another way in which you can access our secure lab. Just as a side note as well, we do also at the moment have a temporary home working agreement in place for special license and secure access data. Most of our data owners have agreed to this home working access. There are a couple that haven't, but there are dedicated pages on our website that list all of the data sets that have been approved for home access. The way that you apply for this depends on which data you are wanting to access from home. But if anybody has any detailed questions about that at the end, I'm more than happy to answer them. So moving on to how to register with us. I know a lot of you would have known this from Tuesday, but I will run through it again. So there are two ways in which you can register with us, and this depends on which particular sector you come from. So there's the big yellow button just at the top of all of our pages on our website, which is the login and register button. Now, if you're not from a UK institution of further or higher education, to register with us, you will first have to apply for a UK Data Archive username. And you can do this by completing this username registration form. It's important to note on this you select your own password. So please do remember what password you pop onto this form, because we can't reset your password until you've logged in for the first time. So to save you having to do it all over again, if you've forgotten your password, please remember the password that you enter on this form. If you apply for a username, we have different user types. So as I said, personal genealogical user, a commercial user, central or local government staff. And the user types correspond to the type of organisation you are affiliated with and what role you have there. So for an example, a lecturer at the University of California, for example, would be classified under the Staff Institute of Higher Education user type. It is important to note, however, that your use of the data doesn't necessarily correspond with your user type. It is quite common for commercial users, for example, to be conducting non-commercial projects. So just even if you are associated with a commercial organisation, it doesn't automatically mean that you're not going to be able to create non-commercial projects. It's just something to bear in mind. All of these username applications are screened manually by us. So please do allow 3 working days for us to be able to review them. We do tend to do it a little bit quicker than that, but we try to do them all between 3 working days. It might be we get back to you just for a small clarification or something, or it might be that we approve it right away and you're ready to go. So please just do bear that in mind if you need data like really quickly. Just if you're not registered, it could take up to 3 working days if you need to request a username. So that's just pointing to the button at the top and the form. So if you are at a UK higher education institute, you should have your own username and password that you can use to register with us. And this is the one that is issued to you by your institution. It's usually the same username and password that you use to log into your emails or your online library portal or something like that. If you are unsure of what your username and password would be, please contact your library or your IT help desk or some other services at your organisation that would be able to let you know. So when you click on that login and register page, you will receive this, and you can just start typing in the name of your organisation into that box, and you should get a drop-down list based on what you've typed in. So your organisation should pop up. You'll click on your organisation, you'll be redirected to your institutional login page. As I say, usually the page you see when you log into your emails or something like that. You'll be asked to log in, and then you'll be prompted to agree to our end user license terms and conditions, and then there's a couple more instructions that you just need to follow to complete your registration. If you do have a username as well, you can just see at the bottom that you'd use that link to log in. You wouldn't be able to select your organisation from here. There's just the link below where you'll be able to pop in your UK Data Archive, UKD username and the password that you've selected. Log in, pop your organisation in. If you do need any help, there is the help section just on the left-hand side of that page. And if you're unsure of whether your organisation counts as a UK higher or further organisation, there is a list of those organisations that allow you to log in with your username and password that you've already have issued to you. And again, you can get to that from the help section just on the left-hand side of that page. So I'm now going to walk you through our catalogue entries within our data catalogue. So I think this is a video. So I will walk you through it. So this is our homepage. And you can see at the top there, you can see a search bar that enables you to search our data catalogue. So like I said earlier, in here, you can enter a search term, whether that be the name of a data set, such as label for survey, a study number, we've mentioned those 4-digit ones before, or a general term such as food or mental health. So we've used an example of 6614, which is a study number. And if you hit search, a new page will open and you can see the results. Now, because we've put a study number in, the top result there has been, the top result there was the data set that we typed in, 6614. But there would also be a whole list of kind of other ones that are slightly related to that or that have another one of those numbers in the study number. But usually, if you pop a study number in, the top result should be the one you were looking for. You click the title of the data set and that is a hyperlink and you will get to this data catalogue page. So this is what our data catalogue page looks like. So we will just run through the different sections and what they mean. So the main one that opens up is the details page. So here you have the title, you have a little bit about the sponsors and contributors, you have the citation, which we ask you to use if you use our data, the topic, the thesaurus key search on keywords. So I will talk a little bit about our thesaurus in a moment. But those are all of the keywords that are associated with these data. You have the abstract, so that talks you through what the data is, talks you through the user guides that are available, and the main topics within the data. So that's good to review if you're not quite sure what the data contains. You also have the coverage and methodology, so it lets you know the spatial units and how the data was collected. And you also have the edition history, so you can see when the first release was and when the latest edition release was as well. The next important tab is the documentation one. Now this contains things like user guides that are useful. It may also contain a data dictionary document which lists all of the variables that are available within that data. So you can consult that before you download the data set if you want to. Or because this is end user license data, if you're registered, you can download it right away. That's just highlighting the data dictionaries one. And I say that lists all of the variables contained within these data. They also have documents on questionnaires. There's a user guide which has been popped together by the data owners. So they really are a really good place to look if you're not quite sure how to use the data. We also have a resources section. So this lists things like case studies and other studies that these data have helped contribute towards. So there's publications and reports that have used 6614, studies that are related to them, things like that. It's important to note as well, 6614 is the main survey data for understanding society, very, very popular one. You can also see the DOI there if you need to reuse it for anything. Each of the pages has that. Now this is the important button, the access data button. So this is how you access the data, and this is also where you see the access conditions that are associated with the data. So I'm just going to pause this. Any restrictions, whether that be geographical, whether that be certain organisations, any access restriction or access condition will be listed in this box here. So for example, as I said, this is end user license data, and this data is available to users registered with the UK Data Service. Now this video doesn't go into how to add them to your account. That comes a little bit later on. Well, actually, I don't think it does. Let me check. It might do actually. But you will need to be logged in before you access these data. So that is the data catalogue entries, and I hope that's given you a bit of an idea of all of the information that you can find out about that data set before you've downloaded it. So we're now going to talk through how you access that data set, so how you download it. So I believe this also uses, so this is also using SN6614, so we've searched it in the data catalogue, and you can also see that the other results that it's pulled up based on that entry, so it's really kind of other understanding society ones as well. So if we click on that, it's important to note here that we have already logged in. You don't have to log in first. You can log in once you've hit this access data button, but it is a little bit easier. So as you can see, we're already logged in, and it says to download these data, you can download these data by adding them to your account. And this video again is just flagging the access conditions. You won't be able to add a data set to your account if you can't meet the access conditions, and the access conditions are linked to all of the information you've provided us in your registration. So if you do get an error message, that's probably why. If you go to add to account, it's then confirmed that it has been added to your account, and you can either go to your account to access the data now, or you can continue browsing for data. So you can go to my account at the top, or you can click the hyperlink in the green box underneath. It's completely up to you. Talking a bit quick for the video. So Madi's going to click that one, and this is the data area of your account, and it shows that any data that is awaiting assignment to your project. So you can see that one at the top. Along the left-hand side as well, you can also see the projects that you already have, and you can also see the data sets by project. If you are depositing data, there's an option there, and all of these ones at the bottom are ones that are awaiting further action, but you don't need to worry about those at the moment. We'll go through those a little bit later on. So looking at 6614, which is the one that we want to access, we're going to tick that box and add it to a project. We have three types of projects. We have a commercial user project, a commercial project, a non-commercial project, and teaching projects. Commercial projects are those that their main purpose is to generate income. Non-commercial projects are for things like research, dissertations and papers, and teaching projects are for those used in a classroom setting. So we can either create a new project, or you can add the data to an existing project. So for this example, we're going to create a new project. You'll be asked to choose a title. Please do try and make sure this title matches perhaps your research paper or anything really closely related to the output that you're creating. You can then select your project type. So for a majority of you, I imagine that will be non-commercial. As I say, that's for anything like dissertation, research project, anything that's not making money really. And teaching, as I say, is for use within the classroom setting. So we do have a lot of teaching data sets available as well. For teaching projects, you do just need to make sure all your students are registered with us as well. You can either do that via a form, or you can ask them all to register individually. And then once you've chosen your project type, we do ask please for a project abstract. Please don't do what we're doing and just copy the title. This abstract should include a short description of your project and its benefits. And we don't need an awful lot of information. I think the minimum character limit is 100 words. But this is just so we know exactly what this project is aiming for. And we produce reports for all data owners because they like to know what sort of project and research their data are being used for. So this gives us a really, really good idea of how our data is being used. So once you've created your project, you'll then be directed back to that page, and this data set is now ready to assign, and it's going to be assigned to that new project that we've just made. You click add to project, and you can see that this is now open that project and that this data request is now active. So you can see the title, data, projects, so this is all within your UK Data Service account. You can check all of the key information if you need to, so you can see when it's created, when it expires, who it was created by, things like that. That's the expiry, and the project number is very, very important. That is a 6-digit number, and that is unique to your project. There won't be another project with that number. So that's particularly useful if you ever need to liaise with us. If you pop your project number in, we'll know who you're talking, which project you're talking about. You can also add members to your project. So there's the members tab along the top. You can click that new member button and you'll be asked to enter the email address of the researcher that you'd like to add. Please do be aware though that that researcher does need to be registered with us first. Otherwise they won't receive the email invitation to join the project. And there's also just a log section in there as well, which is kind of the history of the project. You can see who and what data was added then. And the notes section is just if we need to add any notes to projects, but we don't do that an awful lot. So you can see that this is now active. It's got the green tick next to it, which means it's now available to download. So you can download it in two ways. You can either tick that box next to the data and click download selected, or you can click on the actions button and that will give you the chance to download it as well. You'll be given the chance to, you're given the option of what format you'd like to download the data in. So our popular ones are tab, which can be opened in Microsoft Excel, Stata, SPSS. Those are the main ones that options that you get. So whichever one is best suited for you. We're now going to run through how to access special license data. So as I say, this is one that requires a form to be completed. We've we've popped study number in there for a special license data set. But as I say, you can use the tools that I described earlier to find a special license data set. The way you'll know it's a special license data set is that it will have special license data in the title. And again, we go to that access data button. All of the access conditions are listed here. So in this one, access is limited to certain countries. You click add to account. Thinking about it. And again, that's been added to your account. So you can go to your account, just as we did before, and assign the data set to a project. So you can do that to the same one, or you can do it to a different project. So there, this one we're just finding a project to assign it to. So this should list all of the ones that you already have. Click add to project. And it should open that new project. Okay, so as you can see, unlike when we did it with the end user license one, this has a request access button rather than it being active. If you click on that button, it's going to outline all of the steps that you need to take in order to be able to access this data. So it has an introduction. You would have already accepted the standard EUL, which is why it's already ticked. There are some additional agreements for this one that need to be accepted. So you just need to read through those and check that you can adhere to them, and you'll then be prompted to download a special license form. So this is downloadable straight from your web browser, and it normally opens in a Word document, which I believe is on the next slide. Perfect. So it just downloads just as a normal download would, and this is what that document looks like. And you will be asked to complete this in as much detail as you possibly can. This is really your chance to kind of show off to the data owners and ask, complete the form and really impress them so that they'll grant you access to your data. So the first section is the researcher your details. So we need your name and your organisation and your project number. So that is that 6-digit number that we were talking about earlier, which can be found within your account. You're able to list any members of your research team. We do need a form from everybody that requires access to the data, the raw data. If they're just viewing outputs, that's absolutely fine. We don't need a form from them, but anybody that needs access to the raw data needs to be listed in this section, please, and also have their own form. And they should already be added to the project as well. The location, so where the data is going to be stored and accessed, and then you've got details about the project. So the title, and that should match what you've got on your account online, please. Section 5 is a short description about the project and its benefits, essentially an abstract. Section 6 is where you pop the details of your research proposal, so that needs to be really, really detailed. And the data owners like to see the aims, the purposes, the methodology you're going to use, any research questions that you're hoping to answer. You've then got a section for adding the data required, so please pop the study number and the title in there. And then section 8 is where you have to justify your use of the data. So the data owner likes to see examples of specific variables that are only available in the special license data and why they're suitable for your research. They do sometimes ask as well for you to pop an example of other data that you've consulted and perhaps explain a little bit why that wasn't suitable for your research. If you're unsure of the variables, because obviously you don't get to download these data until you've got approval, that's when that data dictionary document comes in really handy in the documentation tab of the data catalogue. You're just then asked if your project includes any linking, how long you'd like to have access to the data, what outputs you're going to produce, and you also have to detail how you're going to store the data. There is a link in this guide, so this one here, Research Data Handling and Security, which outlines the conditions of storage. So they have to be stored at your organisation, for example, and you have to be able to destroy the data at the end of the project in a certain way using a certain programme. You're then asked if your project is being funded, and if it is, who by, and then there's just a declaration at the end to sign. Read and sign, I should say. So that is the special license form. Once you've completed that form, there is an email address at the top, which is help@UK Data Service. You pop that back to us, we screen it, may come back to you with some changes if we think anything needs to be added or anything needs to be clarified. We then pop that over to the data owner for approval. Once they get back to us, we get in touch with you to say, yeah, you've been approved. And then you'll be able to download these data from our website. That request access button will change to active and you'll be able to download it from the website right away. We then have secure data. So again, we've popped a data set into the data catalogue. This one's 8666, which is our Smart Energy Research Lab data. And the giveaway that it's secure access is that it has secure access in the title. Safe room data has safe room in the title. So that's your main differentiation. Access data, here you go. This one's got quite a few access conditions because it is a secure access data set. Add to your account. And again, exactly the same as before. You'll be asked to assign it to a project. Again, we're going to select one that we've already got. And you will see that it's got request access next to it. Click on that request access and complete actions, and you'll see the things that need to be completed. So again, this one's got an additional condition of use, so we just ask that you read through that and you can tick the box underneath to accept it. You'll be asked to complete a project application form, which is available to download, and it also lets you know where to pop that back to. You've got an accredited researcher application. So depending on the secure access data, you'll be accredited by different organisations. So this one is under the Digital Economy Act, but it may be an ESRC accreditation. You also need to complete a user agreement, which needs to be signed by your organisation. And this section just lets you know that it's in we've got everything once you've sent it across. And this is where the box that we tick once you've attended training. You will be invited to training as part of the process once you've sent us all of your forms. And again, we update all of these once you have secure lab access. We say you send all of those forms to us, and much like special license, we screen them all and liaise the data owner liaise with the data owner on your behalf. The only difference with secure data is that you don't download them from the website. You are given credentials for Secure Lab, and you access within that virtual environment. You'll be talked through all the technical setup and things like that. And as I say, you'll be invited to training as part of the process. Okay, so now we have another access or another activity, and this time it's for accessing data. So using the information we've just covered, please take a moment to try and access a data set of your choice. You can use any of those study numbers that we just looked at. So 6614 might be a good one because that's end user license and you can download that right away. Or if you found a special license or secure data set that you've looked at before, you can try adding that to your project. But as I said, if you aren't registered, please try and look for open data and access that. Again, you've got about 3 minutes. I'm just conscious of the time. I want to leave enough time for questions. When you are ready, there is just another just a quick poll, just to let me know which level of data did you access or try to access. But as I say, whenever you're ready. Open data, brilliant. That was nice and quick. So I hope open data, perfect. I imagine maybe that's because some of you aren't quite registered yet, which is absolutely fine. You can find open data in a really similar way to all of the other data sets. So if you've managed to locate an open data set, then I think you'll be fine trying to access or finding the other types. That's really, really good. Give you another minute or so just to do that. And then I'll start talking about some of our useful tools, again, for narrowing your search and things like that. Yeah, lots of open data, that's good. As I say, it gives you a sense of kind of how to find it and how to access it. You kind of access it in the same way as all of the other special license, brilliant. The accessing part of it's, the same, it's just that there's slightly different forms, or whether you can download it right away is the main difference there. Okay, I am conscious of the time. Please do feel free to carry on trying to access those data, or if you can have a fiddle while I'm answering some questions and then come back, that's absolutely fine. So now on to the last part, aside from questions. So we're going to run over the useful resources and online tools that we have when you're accessing data. So these are the tools that we will walk through one by one. And these are tools that are really useful to help you narrow down your search if you're looking for something specific. So you've got the HACCP, which is the thesaurus, Variable and Question Bank, Qualibank, Nesta, UKDS Stat, and Infuse. So first up is our HACCP, which is our thesaurus, and HACCP stands for Humanities and Social Science Electronic Thesaurus. So you can find this by clicking Help, and then you'll see using HACCP to search for data, and there's a hyperlink to HACCP. And this has over 4,600 terms and more than 3,500 alternative terms within it. So each data set in our catalogue has keywords and terms associated with them that come from this thesaurus. So we did flag that when we were looking at the data catalogue entry. There was a thesaurus and keywords page, and they are linked. So these keywords, as I say, are linked to regular searches conducted in our main catalogue, but the thesaurus can help you explore topics as it links the keywords and registers them under umbrella terms. And as I say, these are the terms that we saw on that data catalogue page a little while ago. So you can see that I've searched in poverty, and it's provided a link to results returned in our data catalogue, but it has also suggested broader concepts and narrower concepts and related terms that could potentially be worth exploring. And as each suggested term will link back to the data catalogue. So that's another way to narrow or broaden your search based on a theme or keyword that you've already got. And you can put anything, so there's a list of things you can pop in: social policy, addiction, homelessness. That's a really, really good tool. Another approach you can use to search for specific phrases is our variable and question bank. So again, you can find this by going to help, and then within searching for data, there's the hyperlink to the variable and question bank. And this is an interface that allows you to find and retrieve information about variables and questions from survey data sets held by us. So this is an example of what it looks like. I've searched for the term solar power, and what's good about the question bank is that you may not find many data sets that have the term solar power in the title, but this option allows you to locate data that contain questions or modules regarding your chosen topic, so solar panel in this example, solar power in this example. And so this returns results that you may not have considered if you were just scrolling through data set titles within the main data catalogue. Next up is our query bank, and again, help, and so in searching for data, you can explore the query bank. And this is our data catalogue for qualitative data, and the results returned in query bank searches are based on your keywords not only appearing in the dataset title or information page, but in the contents of the data as well. So this is what query bank looks like. And again, I've searched poverty as an example, and the search has returned results where poverty was mentioned as part of an interview, and in addition to it possibly being in the title. And like with our other search functions in our data catalogue, query bank results can also be filtered by resource type, so interview, essay, survey, by date, and also by collection title, if you have spotted something already. A number of our key studies can be downloaded through a tool called Nesta without the need to download them. So our Nesta service is great, and it's kind of basic analysis and visualizations, as I say, can be formed without downloading the data or using any statistical software. So if you don't yet have particular software and are looking to explore data you would like to use, this is a great option. Now, Nesta can be accessed in a few ways, but it's mainly via the data catalogue. So if you go to find data, browse by theme, you can find a data set you're looking for, and if the option is there to access it by Nesta, the labour force survey in particular is a big one that's accessed commonly through Nesta. You'll be able to find it. So again, you can go through browse by general, online analysis and tools, find Nesta, and there's also a lot of guides and new helpful videos to be able to use Nesta as well. As I say, labour force survey is a big one that you can search, browse and analyse data through. So this is what Nesta looks like. Located on the left-hand side are a column. So this is the Millennium Cohort study, we point that out, for the 6th survey 2015. So located on the left is the full list of the data collections available via Nesta. And using that left-hand column, you can expand the menus to see the datasets metadata and the variable descriptions. The tabs across the top help you to tabulate and analyse the variables, and the dataset abstracts also provided on Nesta, providing information about the data. So you can find that here as well as in the data catalogue. As I say, we have lots of really useful guides if you're not quite sure how to use it, and we're always on hand to help as well. We also have UKDS Stat. So if you're looking to use international macro data, this may be the tool for you. These data are provided by a number of organisations such as the World Bank and the United Nations. And again, UK Stat can be accessed online via the online analysis tool in the Find Data section of our website. And this allows the easy creation of time series data displayed as heat maps and other visualizations. It is worth noting that international microdata is not available to everybody. A lot of the International Energy Agency data is only available for UK academics, but more and more datasets are now becoming freely available. So keep an eye out for the changing access conditions for those. And the final tool we have is Infuse. So this is if you're interested in using aggregate census data, you can use Infuse for 2001 and 2011. So this is the interface here, and it's all done within your web browser, and it's designed to guide users in selecting census aggregate data relating to combinations of characteristics and areas of interest to them. So you can see some of the combinations on the screen there. You can just pick your topics and specify your parameters. And this can be accessed via that website link that you can see there, so infuse.ukdataservice.ac.uk. So I'd like to just let you know how you can contact us. So the contact us section of the website is in the top right hand corner. And when you click that, first you'll see a list of frequently asked questions. So please do double check, because your question may well be answered there. If it isn't, you can contact us via our help desk. If you continue to scroll down that contact us page, you will see a get in touch button. And you can fill in one of our forms to contact our help desk team on a specific matter. You can select the web form best suited to your query or your problem, and that will be directed straight to either the help desk team or a team that's best suited to answer your query. We do aim to reply to all help desk queries within 5 working days. We do get a lot of queries, but we do work through them as quickly as we can. We also have a phone number, which is at the bottom there, but please note, because we are working at home, unfortunately, we don't currently have access to this phone. But hopefully we will be back in the office soon and we'll be able to talk to you all again. There is also the subscription email that I spoke about earlier, so if you wanted to sign up to that, you can. That's all on the contact us page. And we also have a feedback page as well, so if there's anything that you think we can improve, please do let us know. So quickly just going to switch back to Mentimeter just for this last little section. Oh, sorry, I missed a question. Those of you that found data, were you able to access and download them, or download them? Sorry, I forgot that one was there. Brilliant, thank you very much. There might be one more. If you didn't manage to download or access them, please could you tell us why? And we can make sure that we either change the webinar next time we do it, or we can make sure things are a little clearer on the website if that was the problem. Not enough time, that's fine. Secure data set, tried to register first. Okay, brilliant. Through reshare. It was open data, but there was an error. Okay, interesting. We'll have to have a look into that one. You shouldn't need to register for open data. Have a look into that. Okay. You shouldn't need an account, let's say, for open data. And this is what I was thinking. Well, is there anything in this webinar you would like to see covered in more detail? If anybody has anything, please do pop that in there, and we'll then have time for some questions. So I will come to all of those that are already in the Q&A box, answer as many of those as I can. Just give you the chance to do those. Can you filter for open data sets? What outputs might look like? You may find the webinar before this helpful. I do show a few outputs in that, but we can certainly look to add this in. Need to go? No problem. If you do need to go, that's absolutely fine. Thank you. More time to practice, that's fine. We can certainly allocate more time to webinars in the future. Safe researcher training, perfect, all really, really good. If universities differ in access, feel free to pop any of these in the Q&A and I can answer those if you would like me to. Universities shouldn't differ in access. The only difference might be if it's not a UK university. Okay, please do keep adding to that board if you got any other anything else you'd like to raise. But yes, any questions? I will just open my Q&A box. And I'll make sure I read the question out. So we've got, is it possible the data under one theme will also appear under another theme, cross-cutting themes? Yes, very, very possible. That's why things like the other search tools, so the variable and question bank and the thesaurus are really, really useful, because they should draw upon other data sets that include more than one theme. So I definitely recommend looking at those. Can you explain the microdata information after we clicked view for each data that we want? If you're able to, if you've got a particular microdata set in mind, you could contact our help desk and we can take a look at the specific one for you and provide you with some guidance. That's absolutely fine. They just all differ slightly. So I wouldn't want to tell you one thing and then actually the data that you're interested in might differ slightly. Yes. Once I've searched by theme and found COVID-19, can I then narrow it down to data type? You can indeed, excuse me. So once you've found the theme and found COVID-19, if you view all data, so you go to the data catalogue, on the left-hand side, you should then be able to narrow it down by data type. Yes, so you can do that. Oh, already answered it. Thank you. Yes, the talks in this series will be made online available afterwards. They will be available via our events page. The recording will be on YouTube and the documentation will be within our events page. With time series data, for example, if we want per capita consumption of beer, wine and spirits on an annual form, how long will the data series available? Are data available quarterly as well? It really depends on which data set you're looking for. Some of our data sets are annual, some are quarterly. It really, really does depend. What you can do is, if you know which data set you're looking for, you can search it in the data catalogue, and at the top left there's the option to look at series, and if you click on series you'll be able to look at all of the data contained within that series, so by date or quarterly, annually, things like that. Yeah. Is there any way we can book one-to-one drop-in sessions through the UK Data Service? There isn't at the moment, but I know this is something that we're really, really keen to look into. There was somebody at another one of our webinars asked if it was possible for us to set up like a forum. But you are more than welcome to get in contact with our help desk or email us, phone us. We haven't got access to the phone at the moment, but we're more than happy to walk you through anything in a one-to-one via email or a web form. That's absolutely fine. We have different teams as well that we can pop queries across to if we're not able to help you, but that is definitely some feedback that we've been getting quite a lot. So I think kind of next year that's definitely something that we're going to be working towards. What's the easiest way to get other colleagues on the training, please? Is it this training or something like Safe Researcher training? Is there separate training for depositing data? I believe so. We do hold training across all kind of sections of our service. So do have a little look on the events and training page on our website. If not, pop us an email and we can ask our collections team or reshare team to get in touch with you, and you can either ask any questions that you've got there or they can liaise with you directly. That's fine. Brilliant, thank you very much. Someone has pointed out they've recently had a SafePod installed at LSE library and it's be ready to launch soon. Brilliant. Very good question. When we change our personal details, such as if you graduate from a university or work, should you update your registration or register again under a new institution? Please register again. Thank you. I did mention that in my one before. Please register again and let us know, and we can transfer any projects you have across to your new account if you need to. Very good question. After submitting the forms, how long would it take to obtain the data access? This really depends. Special license, we say about 4 to 6 weeks from when we receive it, because that we need to take into account the amount of time the data owner needs to look at it, as well as the amount of times, for example, we have to come back to you for clarifications or anything. Secure access data tends to be a little bit longer. Again, it's really, really hard to say because a lot of these tasks are out of our hands. It depends if you've trained with us. We try and have at least one training session a month. Some months we have two, but obviously it depends on your availability, if you're able to attend ones. For secure access, it tends to be a couple of months. It is a little bit longer, but as I say, it's really hard to say. How much data would end up in the account if add to account was clicked? Just the data set that you're on, the data catalogue page that you're on. But you can continue browsing before you go back to your account and add it to your project. Safe researcher training. Thank you, Elizabeth. Safe researcher training. And we do invite you to this as part of the application process for secure access data. But if not, you can contact our secure training team. So I don't know if you've got a pen. Their email address is secure.training@ukdataservice.ac.uk. So secure.training@ukdataservice.ac.uk. But as I say, that does form part of the process, the application, so you should be contacted anyway. Can you access data in Excel or R formats? Yes, so R is available for our data sets. Sorry, I forgot to mention that one. And Excel, you download the data in Tab, which can then be opened in Excel. So there's a couple on there. You shouldn't need to register for open data, no. So sorry if you were having problems with that. I can certainly look into it. Conscious of the time, so I will answer a couple more, and anything else, please do feel free to contact us via email. What is time series data? Oh, I've done that one, haven't I? Are you happy to display your slides? Yep, they will be shared on the events page. Yes, so can I access secure data if I work from home but I work on a laptop that is provided by my organisation and I have a secure connection? Yes, if you go onto our homepage, we do have a temporary home access agreement, so it is only temporary, and we don't have a timescale at the moment for its removal. So it's in it's what's the word? Brain's getting tired. It is available for the foreseeable. You will have to use your laptop to connect to a device at your organisation, and there are a number of other conditions that you do have to meet. And also, as long as the data that you wish to access has been approved for home working access by the data owner as well. But if you can't find that on our website, please do get in touch and let us know. I think all the rest are just thank you very much. I will leave it there because I'm conscious of the time. Thank you everybody for joining. I hope you found it useful. And if you do have any questions, please do get in touch. I think there is one more there, our ways of getting in touch. Thank you very much.